Ladies and gentlemen, by way of introduction,
I don't think any words can explain a man's life.
The broadcasting system and its affiliated stations present
Columbia Network takes pride in presenting...
We take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theater and star of these broadcasts.
It was a voice. Just a voice. I never really saw him. He was only
the hero,
Orson Welles,
a great lover,
Orson Welles,
and a dirty dog.
Orson Welles.
Good morning, this is Orson Welles speaking.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Orson Welles.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Orson Welles speaking.
I'm a Unicron.
Well, here it is. If anybody wants to see it.
All right, class, everybody in. Come on down, take your seats. Let's fill in the front rows first, please.
Not so loud. I'm tired.
Slackers to the front, where I can keep an eye on you better, please. And
I'm already in the front.
You're
calling me out specifically. The rest of the slackers. Welcome, slackers.
And others.
Yes, and others, I guess.
I suppose.
It's a podcast. It's slacker friendly.
Exactly. You can listen to this wherever you want. And if you stop listening now, we've got your download. Thank you.
Yeah. Unless you're a cop.
Listening. In which case, no thank you, get out.
Yeah.
We are Wells University. This is Wells University. We are your TAs. I am Stephen Foxworthy, pronouns he, him.
Hope Stow, she, her, had to think about it because I was thinking up wait, am I Wells University? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I mean, technically, I am 50% of Wells University.
Correct. Whereas I constitute the other 50.
There you go. All right. Well, you also do about 80% of the workload.
Right now.
Yeah, for right now. Yeah, we're getting to my special interest.
Absolutely. As soon as we get this boy to and from Ireland, get him back to New York.
This is episode 5. Let's get this motherfucker out of the States.
This has been our mantra in the text thread. Let's get this bitch to Ireland.
God in heaven. Or should I say
today?
God in heaven.
Faith in me, Gora.
Okay, it's okay. He lives in Chicago. He's allowed to do that.
Also, my mother's my maternal grandmother's maiden name is Callahan.
Well, now my goal is to get you to do a spit take whenever you're sipping from the water. So I'm gonna have to keep a weather eye on that.
It wouldn't be the first time, and that's not water.
See, I've just got my pipe and my I don't know if you can see it over the webcam, but my Jacob from Twilight, Bella, where the hell you been, Loca cup. It was a wedding present.
Long-haired Taylor Lautner, yes.
Oh man, that was before the glow up. Oh woof, that wig was not doing him no favors.
Woof,
was it even a wig? Shit,
the irony, of course, being that you say woof for a werewolf, but yes.
Well, the irony is I'm actually Team Edward, but that's...
Oh my God. I didn't know you actually had a take on that.
Yeah, fucking sue me. Look, I avoided it when the books came out. I avoided it when the movies came out. But then one day I found myself in the company of another bouncy blonde, and we got drunk and watched the whole series. And it was, kids, I know this is an Orson Welles podcast.
We'll get there.
Yeah, watch Twilight. They're wild movies. They're truly wild.
How do you think Orson would have been Team Edward or Team Jacob? I feel like these are the important questions that people want us to be asking on this podcast.
I feel like had he been age appropriate and alive at the time of the movies, he would have been cast in the Michael Sheen role instead. Although that would rob us of the Michael Sheen performance, which I believe he based off of a blue meanie from the Yellow Submarine. So, I've been doing that a lot lately since we started properly recording again. Bex and I will just be watching a movie and I'll just think, Orson could have done this role. Orson could have knocked this out of the park. But it'll be something completely nonsensical like My Neighbor Totoro. Orson could have played Totoro.
Oh, Orson, absolutely. First of all, Orson is Totoro. Like late stage Orson Welles.
Talked about this on the last episode we recorded. So
is Totoro, yes.
Yeah, but Orson could have played John Hammond. My friends, welcome to
fuck
Jurassic
yeah.
Park. Orson could have played the T-Rex. Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah. Oh my God. That would have been amazing. And we'll get into like some of the parts like the pop culture roles he lobbied real hard for and didn't get. But like Vito Corleone and Darth Vader.
Oh God. Oh, we could have had Orson Vader. Oh well. Whatever. I love James Earl Jones too much.
I'm not mad about the choice they made. I'm just saying would have been great.
You know what? It's probably a good idea that we didn't get Orson as Darth Vader, because then for the prequels and the sequels, we would have just gotten Maurice LaMarche Darth Vader, which, now that I'm saying it out loud, I actually really want that.
I was going to say, why are you saying that like it's a bad thing?
Because I like Darth Vader. He's like the coolest thing ever invented for cinema. He's
and Orson Welles is the coolest human being ever invented for humanity. We're here. Two great tastes that taste great together. You know I'm right.
I'm too mad about Star Wars to agree with you.
Wait, hold on. You're mad about Star Wars?
What? I have takes. The bitch who has takes about Twilight also has Star Wars hot takes. No, none of my Star Wars takes are necessarily hot. They are warmed up morning after leftovers at best. Joke's on you. I like cold pizza. Let's get this motherfucker to Ireland. What are we doing? We've just taken a 5-minute side tangent because I decided to smoke my pipe before we started, which is what I always do, and that's a problem.
Well, as long as you recognize it, it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, recognizing ain't doing. All right, it's 1929, motherfuckers.
Sure as hell is.
Yeah, February 11th, major events. Taken from onthisday.com. February 11th, Vatican City, the world's most smallest country. Jesus God. I'm going to start again. February 11th, Vatican City, the world's smallest country, becomes an enclave of Rome. February 14th, the Valentine's Day Massacre in Chicago. 7 gangsters are killed allegedly on Al Capone's orders. I'm going to skip through some of these.
Well, hold on, because Chicago...
Tell me about Chicago. Chicago boy.
I am in the burbs of Chicago, but Chicago is, of course, the early stomping grounds of Orson Welles, who said he knew Al Capone. Says of Al Capone, Capone used to take 4 rows at the opening night of every play in Chicago and come backstage and see everybody. So there you go. Apparently, Al Capone, friend of the arts.
Good.
That's all Orson has to say about Al Capone. This is Orson Welles.
And there is nothing else to be said about Al Capone. October 23rd, I'm seeing from a newspaper called The Onion. It looks like the stock market is invincible and nothing will ever fail. What's this? October 24th, Black Thursday, the start of the stock market crash of 1929. Dow Jones Industrial Average drops 12.8%. Gosh, that doesn't pertain to anything in modern day at all.
Neither does that conclave you mentioned earlier, quite frankly.
Nor the fact that it also became a sovereign state on June 7th. October 29th, stock market crash on Wall Street known as Black Tuesday triggers the Great Depression.
And we've had a couple of even greater ones since then.
This is I have, honest to Christ, lost count. It's like 4 or 5 economic crises in just my lifetime.
Right.
Or as I like to consider, my lifetime is AW for after Wells, because I was born about 3 months after he died.
Oh wow!
There was a span of time in between his passing and my birth where time just stopped existing. I'm sure you have a blank spot in your memory.
I have several. That's probably just one of them.
There you go. I'm going to skip anything about athletics because fuck him. Born in 1929, Martin Luther King Jr. on January 15th. Anne Frank on June 12th. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, July 28th, and Yasser Arafat on August 24th. Holy Christ. I've also got Frank Gehry, who I don't really know off the top of my head. Joe Gallo. They've posted a picture of a mugshot. So I'm assuming, member of the Provocative crime family, which later became the Colombo crime family. And one more thing.
The gangster name,
yeah. And speaking of Colombo, one more thing. Audrey Hepburn was born on May 4th. June Carter Cash, June 23rd. Bob Newhart, September 5th. Barbara Walters, September 25th. Grace Kelly, November 12th. Dick Clark, November 30th. Some musicians that I don't know the names of off the top of my head. Jacques, Christ alive, French is not the French, but French, the language, is my arch nemesis in all things life. Just pronounce your fucking vowels. Jacques Brel, Cy Coleman, Barry Gordy, Chet Baker. Some athletes were also born.
Barry Gordy, I know.
Okay.
It's,
what do we know about
Motown?
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Am I racist for not knowing that? I'm going to skip on to who died in 1929. Wyatt Earp. Carl Benz. Archibald Primrose. The name's ringing a bell, but it's a funny name. Shouldn't be making commentary on people who are potentially horrible. Gustav Strasserman. Elijah McCoy. George's French name. Some athletes happened, some weddings happened, some other bullshit happened, but also the first ever Academy Awards happened. And that's actually relevant to our interests. The first Academy Awards were held on May 16th, 1929 in Hollywood at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, USA, planet Earth, solar system, local orbit, hosted by Douglas Fairbanks. The first Best Picture ever was Wings. Let's see, Seventh Heaven and Sunrise both won 3 each, which is pretty cool.
And they didn't have nearly as many Oscars as they do.
No,
today.
they did not. They truly did not. And I'm looking at the photo of the attendees of the first Oscars, and it looks all white to me.
Yeah.
Play on words. Oh, no. Nothing racist will ever come up on this podcast ever again, I'm sure. Talking about Orson Welles and the 1900s.
The man was pretty progressive for his time.
For his time. Pretty progressive, asterisk, footnote. The footnote is 17 pages long.
Yeah. We've actually already discussed several racist things that Orson has done, and it will not be the last.
Oh, boy. It's just going to get worse, kids.
We're going to have to cover his Othello at some point.
Jesus Christ. I knew what I was signing up for.
You did.
I totally did. Signing up for. All right, sure. What happened to Orson?
i.e. suggesting.
Where did we leave off with Orson? We left off in the fall of 1928.
Yes. So Orson has returned to Todd for another year, and he has become the editor of the Red and White, the school newspaper, publishing a Kane-esque declaration of principles right on the front page.
Yeah, be more on brand, Orson.
Right. But no, Citizen Kane is not about you at all. From there, we're going to jump into May 1929, just 5 months into 1929. Wells mounts an abridged production of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar for the annual Drama League of Chicago tournament, which is held at the Goodman Theater. This is not the first time that Wells will adapt Julius Caesar, or the last time he will adapt any Shakespeare play. He'll do a whole shit ton of them. Wells actually adapted the show himself with assistance from Skipper Hill, and they also directed
his name
the
was
show.
Skipper. Fuck.
Well, that's his nickname. His real name's Roger, but
I know, but still, just all right.
Skipper. He shares the name with Barbie's kid sister, and the two also co-directed the production. See, when you're not laughing out loud, it just looks like I'm laughing. It just sounds like I'm laughing at my own jokes.
I'm sorry to the students attending class. Stephen just gave me whiplash with that sentence, so I had to react as such. Christ alive. This is why we take 2 hours to record these episodes.
Yes.
God in heaven.
I mean, also we're us. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's taken us 5 episodes to get to 1929. The boy is 14.
Right.
Fuck me running.
It's gonna be really hard, but okay.
Jesus, motherfucker. God damn it. Yeah. Okay.
We have fun. We have fun at Wells University. Wells played the dual role of Cassius and Mark Antony. He also spearheaded costume and set design. Basically, the theater program at Todd is becoming kind of his one. He's becoming the one-man show.
Yeah, it's now the Orson show.
Exactly.
Christ.
Todd did eventually lose the tournament to Morgan Park High School. They were given a consolation prize in the form of a citation for direction.
That sounds negative, a citation. Like, all right.
It doesn't necessarily. Nowadays, it has more of a negative connotation, but I guess.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Like citation for excellence in directions, let's say. Wells was pretty broken up about the fact that they didn't win.
Yeah, he wasn't immediately recognized as boy wonder genius, and he was sad about it. Yeah, that tracks, considering everything we know about Orson, past, present, and future.
Correct. There's a letter I wanted to read from Bernstein here.
Ooh.
In the text.
Oh, from Bernstein? Okay.
Yes. In the book Young Orson. Here.
Sorry, I just clocked that your screen name for this recording is WellsFan420.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God.
Aren't you just so glad to know me?
I'm Stephen, I am goddamn delighted. How do I change my name on this shithole so that I can do that?
I think you have to do it before you log in. And I don't know if you can do it if you're hosting too.
All right, fine.
The night of the loss, Bernstein writes to Orson, saying, "Applause means little in the long run, and not all of the things we do that are worthwhile receive recognition. Look at all the great works of art that slumbered without being recognized. And so let this be a lesson to you. There will be times in your life when you will meet up with the same situation. Someday you will be in the eyes of the world doing big things, as I know you will. You will look back upon this disappointment as having been just a passing experience. We must learn to accept disappointments and profit by them. Success is in the silences, though fame is in the song." I know your true values, and I hope you live long enough to see them grow into fruition.
Well,
I love you more than all else. Dada.
Aw.
Right?
That's very sweet.
Absolutely. Like, that's just such an incredible, like, and I wasn't going to type all that out here in the.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But no, I mean, like, such an incredible, and I think it speaks volumes of the relationship that the two of them had. That for everything else, Bernstein truly did love Orson, and I know we've kind of covered that over the past few episodes, but like,
yeah,
and I think Orson became after a point Bernstein's entire world to some degree. With, his dalliances for married women notwithstanding.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to that more later too.
Boy.
But Wells finishes the school year out with his final Red and White as editor, bringing us to the summer of 1929. Basically, every adult in his life is afraid of what's going to happen if Orson has too much time on his hands.
That's fabulous.
That's Bernstein, that's Hill, that's Dick Wells himself. Roger Hill arranges for Orson to join the Todd Orchestra choral director Carl Hendrickson and another Todd student on an art travel tour through Europe. Something that would never happen today. 2 students and a teacher on a tour of Europe? Nope. Dick agrees.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah, right? Like, one of those things that in the 20s, apparently no big deal, but Ugh.
Yeah, this is how Batman got away with just having a 12-year-old around at all times.
How a single bachelor can adopt a 12-year-old. Just adopt a 12-year-old out of the circus.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Dick Wells agrees, and then promises that he's going to meet them there at the end of the summer.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just take my boy. I'll show up at the end. It's fine. It's fine.
Take my child, please. Hendrickson brings an 8mm camera that he had just purchased to do filming while on tour. McGilligan calls the shorts that they filmed there Orson's first brush with filmmaking.
I would think so. I don't think he was shooting shit on an iPhone in 1928. So it'd be amazing
since iPhones are, almost 100 years away from being invented. So yeah,
I'd go back in time and give him a decent digital camera. That'd be fun.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just really blow up the timeline. Fuck you.
There you go. Fuck you, timeline.
If we gave Orson Welles a digital camera, like a modern day high-end digital camera in say Citizen Kane time, we would have had bullet time 50 years earlier. I'm just going to put that out there. Orson could have played Morpheus. Let's keep going. Wells would claim to
could and should have played Morpheus.
I will say Fishburne is the one actor I don't think you could or should replace in those movies. Opinions about the other actors and performances notwithstanding. But regardless, Wells would claim to having his first decision encounter on the boat to Europe. His first decision encounter?
I did this on my phone. That's probably supposed to be sexual encounter.
Okay, good. That's a strange way of accidentally... Oh, you're in the notes right now. Whoops. Uh-oh. He's editing the Google Doc as we speak, kids. Uh-oh. His first sexual encounter, and I have no memory of the other thing. Wells would claim to have had his first sexual encounter on the boat to Europe with a girl 2 to 3 years his senior. He even admits it wasn't very good. Bold, Orson. Bold.
He says, I was, however, not a wunderkind in that department, merely precocious.
Jesus Christ. He was 14? Motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah, would have been.
Good. Hey, yeah, when I drunk texted you, this is not what I expected to talk about. Although I guess low key, it is kind of what I expected to talk about.
I mean, we can't talk about Orson Welles without talking about the various women he bedded across the course of his life.
Yeah, get ready for episode 69, kids. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, we'll call that one Orson Welles' Loverboy. Is that what we had?
I think, that's if we want to get past the censors on podcast dispensaries. I've been calling it Orson Welles' Fuckboy, but it's B-O-I. Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
No other way to say it.
Christ alive. Yeah. Dead dove, do not eat.
I don't know what I was expecting.
Yeah. Wells' stories about this trip are incredible. He claims to have been invited to a meeting of militant socialists in London and encountered Adolf Hitler delivering an angry rant in a beer hall in Munich. This is just Forrest Gump. He is describing Forrest Gump.
Correct. Orson Welles is basically the inspiration for Forrest Gump.
Christ alive. Claims to have commandeered Hendrickson's camera while waiting to see the Pope and using it to film an impromptu documentary about St. Peter's Basilica, if I'm saying that word correctly.
You are.
Great. Running out of film just as the Pope made his appearance. Orson. Classic Orson.
Foolish. And then he had to go, borrow money all around town and do a bunch of crazy commercials in order to get money to film the Pope.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He, while there, also saw multiple Max Reinhardt productions, a Schnitzler comedy in Vienna, and Romeo and Juliet in Berlin, by which point Dick Wells had joined up with the rest of them. Wells, of course, enamored of these experiences. Max Reinhardt, one of the great theater directors, his version of Midsummer Night's Dream, his film version of Midsummer Night's Dream is famous. That's the one where I think James Cagney plays Nick Bottom, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I have not seen it since high school.
I have not seen it ever.
Well, there you go. All right. I've got one up on you.
You have several, let's be honest.
There's a funny bit with a wall, I want to say.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Okay.
I did Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh.
I played Oberon.
Oh, wait. I thought you just said you hadn't seen it, but you were in it.
I was in it. I did not see the Max Reinhardt version. Sorry.
I thought we were just talking about Shakespeare in general.
Oh no.
Okay.
I have that is one of three Shakespeare plays I have been in.
No one expects the Midsummer's Night Dream. Yeah, I saw some like Shakespeare in the Park adaptation. Okay. Did you say the bit about how later Wells would call Reinhardt a great master of spectacle as well as intimate comedy?
I did not say that, but you just said that. So
good. You should attribute it to Yo 160, which is my favorite citation ever.
Young Orson 160.
I got it. I picked up on it. It's just a fun abbreviation. Yo 160. In the fall of 1929, nothing bad happened in the fall of 1929. Dr. Bernstein.
Say it. You started it. Say it. I have broken her with my notes.
Damn it. Son of a bitch, I'm cold reading these. Fall of 1929. Dr. Bernstein. Did we land on that? Where am I putting the stress?
Bernstein is how it's pronounced in Citizen Kane, so I've always assumed it was Bernstein.
Oh, that's good reasoning. All right, Dr. Bernstein, a.k.a. the Cuckmaster General, manages to steal Chicago-based opera star Edith Mason away from her third husband, civic opera conductor Giorgio Polacco, if I'm saying that at all correctly.
Let's assume you are.
Yeah, my whole experience with opera of this time period is the Marx Brothers, A Night at the Opera. After the divorce, Bernstein and Mason would elope in October in Antioch, Illinois, before Justice of the Peace, Yo 162. Jesus fucking Christ, Cuckmaster General.
I mean, the man has a thing for married women. And that, I think, is well established at this point.
Wow.
I told you we'd get to it later, and here we are.
Wow.
Friends, later.
It's 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes later. Yeah. Christ alive. Orson, the Hills, and the Moors were in attendance, though Dick Wells was not. Can't imagine why. Christ alive. You take the next bit, please. I don't want to get jump scared again.
Like his first marriage, this one did not last a long time.
No.
Mason's right. I know. Mason's ex-husband is just proved incapable of leaving them alone. He'd call them at all hours of the night, show up at their door unannounced, and refuse to leave. At one point, even threatened them all with a gun.
Well, I got it up until that point, but okay.
Yeah. When Orson visited during the Christmas of 1929, sick with a cold, Mason, who had apparently just recovered from a cold herself, demanded her husband find the boy other lodgings. And when Bernstein refused, she left the suburbs for a suite in the city. Divorce papers served within months.
Shit. Okay, so he was literally the cause of that divorce.
Of that divorce, yeah.
Wow.
And then after that divorce, Mason would go on to remarry Polacco, the guy who threatened her with a gun, in 1931, only to divorce him again 6 years later.
You know, sometimes we have to make the same mistakes a few times before we truly learn. Christ. Orson also claims Mason's ex-husband, Giorgio Polacco, was securely omnivorous and made several inappropriate advances towards Wells when no one was looking. Good. I'm glad I randomly swung back in for that.
You just have this tonight. I don't know what it is, but you're just finding the worst sentences, really. Meanwhile, when Orson returns to school, Todd is in the midst of an expansion that's going to include a renovated auditorium nicknamed Rogers Hall, a swimming pool, and a riding academy. They would also add road trips to important American historical sites to the curriculum as well.
Oh, that's fun.
Orson also found himself frequently at odds with Tony Roski, who took over as the athletic director at Todd from Roger Hill. The two butted heads over everything from Orson's lack of participation in physical education to, quote, Oriental decorations the boy kept in his single room, including burning incense, which was, of course, not allowed, and the frequency with which Orson would steal off campus to flirt with the townie girls.
Oh boy, Orson. Was Orson like the equivalent, like, compared to the rest of the kids at the school, was he the equivalent of like that odd kid that had just anime figures all over the dorm room?
Maybe.
Yeah. God in heaven.
Yeah. I think Orson kind of like bound up most of Asia into kind of one neat camp that he bundled Oriental.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? You say a kid in 1929 wasn't culturally sensitive to all of the different cultures that come from the other half of the planet?
About as sensitive as a kid in 1929 can be, really.
Oh, boy, howdy.
The fact that he knew anything of them at all probably makes him a step ahead of everyone else.
That's fair. I'm not going to miss this opportunity to call Orson a weeaboo shit. Any punishment Wells might have received for flaunting school rules were quickly waived by Hill, something that the faculty, especially Roski, disapproved of. You don't say.
Right. Funny, imagine that.
Yeah. Wells maintained that even Hill's 3 children despised Orson due to the preferential treatment their father showed him. You don't say.
Right. He is kind of the first amongst Hill's children and easily the most obnoxious, I'm sure.
Boy. Hang on. Orson Welles, obnoxious?
Hard to believe. I know.
No.
I know.
No.
I know.
Orson, you wacky bitch. His treks to the theaters in Chicago became more frequent this year thanks to a free and /or discounted student tickets. Thanks, Yo 164 and 5.
These trips fueled Orson's ambitions to mount more and more serious dramatic productions rather than the, quote, foolishments that the Todd Troopers had been mostly known for to that point.
Oh, that's an excellent word. I'm going to start using foolishments in my daily life.
I just want a t-shirt with the word foolishments across the front. With foolishments with a period. And then maybe another one that says foolishments with a question mark. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe that's our first Wells merch. Foolishments? Foolishments.
Let's leave it up to the audience to decide what gets slapped on a t-shirt first.
True.
Considering we've not released any of these episodes yet.
Right.
That'll change soon. But foolishments. It was a double bill play it was a double bill with a 1-act play of Dust of the Road, starring multiple Orsons, as the ghost of Judas Iscariot, that Orson would mount his first original play called Purple Joss, an Oriental mystery, oh boy, in which he wrote, directed, and acted as the lead. That'll never happen again, ever.
Nope.
He also wrote, directed, and starred in a parody sketch of Dust in the Road called Scum of the Earth.
Scum spelled S-K-U-M.
Good. An important distinction, to be sure.
Correct. I don't
Orson
think spelling was one of Orson's strong suits, if I'm being honest.
He disregarded mainstream education in favor of just doing whatever the fuck he wanted. No.
That is a boy who would have excelled in the Montessori system, except it didn't exist at this point in this time. I
just realized I'm absolutely reacting to every Orson Welles action this session as if I were reacting to a 14-year-old boy that I just happened to know, and I'm like, yeah, no, this kind of shitty behavior tracks.
Yeah, that tracks. Imagine a famous person was shitty as a teenager in the way that all teenagers are shitty.
I mean, kind of, I was kind of a shitty 13, 14-year-old. Yeah, I get it.
Who among us, right?
Yeah. But I can't lie. Orson as Judas sounds kind of cool. At this point, he was essentially running the drama program at Todd. This led to Orson's grade suffering, you don't say, and to his paying another student, the aforementioned Paul Guggenheim, for assistance in Latin geometry. Hill, as he was wont to do, looked the other way. I'm sure that was a real challenge for him, ethically speaking.
Of Orson's directorial style, fellow student Harsey Tarbox, which, again, like top 10 names of all time, Harsey Tarbox.
Harsey Tarbox.
Tarbox.
I've been listening to a lot of James Bonding, the James Bond podcast with Matt and Matt. And I got to say, Harsey Tarbox sounds like a Bond girl name.
Kind of does, yeah.
In one of the Moore era pictures. Hello, I'm Harsey Tarbox. Here is a knife strapped to my thigh. Also, this gun at your neck. Harsey would later say, it was Simon Legree. He never said anything about interpretation. If you had a lead, you did exactly as you were told. He choreographed everything. That's your mark. Don't move. Don't wiggle. He was a martinet. Okay. Wanted to read that as marionette. The result was a remarkable theater. His vitality swept you away. He drilled us and we became magnificently choreographed company. Interesting.
So basically, he's a cruel taskmaster, but the result justified the abuse, I guess.
Yeah,
the same thing. Okay. The same thing we so often say of geniuses in art. Right?
Hang on, let me Google something to make sure I'm saying the joke right. Vamping. I'm definitely not vamping as I do a Google search. Yeah, tell that to Shelley Duvall. Right. Yeah, exactly. God, was the joke worth that build up? Let's move on. According to John Dexter, I can remember a number of times in rehearsal, he would stop and explain one and all the plot, the feeling he wanted, the mood, speed, etc. He knew it. How he knew it, I don't know. That sounds like Orson.
He knows what he wants and knows how to get what he wants out of his actors. Which is the mark of a good director. If you can do it without abusing them, great.
Yeah, exactly. More the better. Spielberg, great with actors. Lucas, bad with actors.
Yeah.
Wait. Hang on. We can break this down. Okay. Spielberg is the good kind of good. I don't have an example for the bad kind of good.
Are we doing an alignment chart of filmmakers?
I think we could. George Lucas.
This might need to be a project for next episode.
Yeah, George Lucas is bad and gets bad results. And Kubrick is bad but gets good results. So we'll work on that. We'll button that for later.
Who's good but gets
shitty results?
Who's bad but gets bad results?
That's George Lucas.
Okay, who's good but gets bad results?
That's what I'm trying to think. Turtle Top? No. I enjoyed National Treasure and The Meg. I don't know.
Turtle Top feels like punching down.
It does. I really like National Treasure. That movie slaps. But that takes us to 1930.
March of 1930. Wells delivers a travel talk to the Woodstock Women's Club about his European travels, punctuated by caricatures that he sketched as he spoke, channeling the music talks given by his mother back in Kenosha in the early days of his life. Later that spring, Orson and Hill would co-write and co-direct Troopers Trifles of 1930, which was itself a very popular naming convention of the time. I think the second ever Academy Award winner was Broadway Melody of 1930. So it was just kind of a blank of insert year. Was kind of a really good, just very common naming convention of the time. That, of course, a jokey review for which Orson would design costumes, lighting, and sets. Basically, the 30-31 school year is Wells's last year at Todd, and Wells basically spearheaded 5 full-fledged productions, like full productions, basically on his own. And this is the first of those. And we'll kind of peek in and talk about some more of those as we get going.
All right. Now I'm gonna just real quick, because I don't know if you have this in your notes for 1930, and it looks like 1930 takes up less than a page of notes, so probably not. But I'm not going to do the whole on this day horse shit for 1930 because this is in the middle of an episode. But on March 31st of 1930, the Motion Pictures Production Code is instituted, and I feel like we should talk about that real quick. Also known as the Hays Code.
The Hays Code, absolutely, yes.
It applied to most motion pictures released by major studios from 1934 to 1968 in the United States, named after Will H. Hays, president of the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America. Yeah, the Hays Code. It's why I mean the collapse of the Hays Code will later give way to exploitation movies,
Hell yeah.
and many more good movies. But I feel like we can do an entire goddamned episode on just the Hays Code and the hell that it wrought on
It's
filmmakers in general.
definitely, yeah, it'll definitely come up as we get once Wells gets to Hollywood. It's gonna be a big thing for sure.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So let's just leave the Hays Code right now as the creepy Michael Myers standing behind a shrubbery about 20 yards away. And if we edit this episode, we'll just have a slow, quiet, creeping voice get ever closer until we actually talk about it in 2 years.
Right. We'll just play little 5-second snippets of the Halloween theme every time the Hays Code rears its head.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, John.
We love you, John. You're the best. Come on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. My God, I'd kill to hear John Carpenter get bitchy about Orson Welles.
Here's what I want.
Tell me what you want, Stephen.
I want you and John Carpenter to just talk about Orson Welles while smoking a shit ton of weed. That is what I want.
Only if you moderate it, because it'll just devolve into video games real fast. I'm like,
here's the thing,
John. Do you like Fallout 76? What the fuck, man?
If John Carpenter comes on this podcast, he can talk about any damn thing he wants.
Yeah. Hey, John, do you like Halo? That's the last time I was good at video games. Halo 3 specifically. Either way, in spring of 1930, Orson and Hill co-wrote and co-direct Troopers Trifles of 1930, a jokey review. Wait, have you read that?
Skip the summer. Yeah. Skip the summer.
Oh, fuck. Dick Wells plans on a trip to China and Japan with Orson. I don't recognize those as two distinct countries because it's 1930, who had been long obsessed with Eastern culture. You don't say, weeb. Orson uses this trip as an opportunity to change his column in the highlighted Park News to a travelogue now called Inklings. Clever.
Highland Park, I think I mentioned last time or an episode or two ago, a place I have been. Ravinia, the first stage on which Orson Welles ever performed, is hosting the great Weird Al Yankovic this summer.
Oh, hey, hell yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, nice. Did you look up ticket prices for that? Because Weird Al's coming to the Man in Philly in September, and they're like $300.
Yep, about the same.
I saw that motherfucker in 2000 for the Running with Scissors tour, and I don't remember them being that expensive.
Here's the thing. The internet has made Weird Al like one of the totemic figures on the on the Mount Rushmore of music.
I mean,
he's starting to recognize that he's been around forever, so he's really able to pull these days.
I mean, I'd argue that he was started to get recognized as that in the 90s. So
sure, but like now you've got people like Lin-Manuel Miranda revering him, someone that pop culture either reveres or hates. So. That's definitely going to play a role in increasing his cultural cachet. Like people like Questlove and Tariq from The Roots and Lin-Manuel Miranda are backing you and proclaiming your genius. You can pull $300 a ticket.
That's very fair. It's also strange that it's $300 considering I don't think he's put out a full album in over 10 years at this point.
He doesn't need to. He's Weird Al.
No, I understand. I'm not arguing with you. I am a big Weird Al fan.
Weird Al, come on the podcast.
Yeah, fuck it. Who cares?
Weird Al comes on this podcast. You can talk about any damn thing you want.
Yeah, Orson could have played Dr. Demento, but Dick, however, was generally overcome with drunkenness. You don't say. Frequently sending Orson out for more and more drinks and becoming furious when he discovered the 15-year-old grabbing drinks for himself in the process. You don't say.
While Welles himself, and as a result, most of his biographers tend to agree that Dick's sleeping is a result of alcoholism, McGilligan actually, who seems, I think, to be a lot more sympathetic to Dick Wells than a lot of Orson's other biographers are, seems to suggest that the symptoms were a result of him being prescribed digitalis, which is a drug that, quote, that stopped, quote, the swelling of body tissue and stimulated normal heart rhythms, and it was often prescribed in combination with lengthy bed rest. So bad was Dick's condition that he made his son promise that if he were to die overseas, that he would either be cremated or buried at sea so as not to be buried on foreign soil.
That's rough. Good Christ.
Right.
So embarrassed was Orson by his father's behavior that he would tell Barbara Leeming that he bluntly told his father at the Hill's insistence he'd vowed not to see his father again until he'd sobered up. That was the last I ever saw of him. Well said, Jesus Christ.
Right. In case we needed a dark cloud over the rest of this episode. Basically, well, let's get into December of 1930. True to his word to the Hills, Wells kept his distance from his father, seeing him for the very last time as he exited quickly after the last act of the final Todd production of 1930, a British drama called Wings Over Europe. Dick would pass away shortly after on December 28th, 1930, at the age of 58, in his room at the Hotel Bismarck in Chicago, Illinois, of chronic myocarditis and chronic intestinal nephritis. Basically, his insides done fucked up. Both heart and intestines pretty much fucked.
That'll do it. His body was taken to Green Ridge Cemetery in Kenosha for internment. Orson was saddened that he hadn't arrived in time to honor his father's wishes to be cremated or buried at sea.
Mostly, though, Wells would regret his abandonment of his father during his final days, calling it a great sorrow that haunted him for the rest of his days.
Yes, and as we all, no director has ever been affected by daddy issues before, and I'm sure that will never come up ever again.
Nope. Wells losing both parents by the age of 15 in no way had a negative effect on the rest of his life.
No,
or on the art
searching for father figures, or yeah.
I mean, in fairness, he was doing that before his dad died.
I mean, that takes us to January of 1931. We are just blasting through years at this point. I'm proud of us. Orson presents an account of his travels in Asia to the Dean Street PTA, decked out in a Japanese outfit he'd purchased while abroad, and at times decked out in Japanese dialect as well.
You sure know how to pick them tonight, girl. I gotta tell you, you're doing great.
Jesus Christ. God.
In spring of 1931.
This is absolutely going to turn into, at some point, it's going to turn into like a Ron Burgundy, go fuck yourself, San Diego. That's what it's going to turn into.
You're just going to go in and like just start fucking with the notes.
Yeah. No, you could do that. You could literally, like, if I'm reading the notes, I had a bic in my mouth. Sorry. If you're following along the notes, you could probably just change the teleprompter on me.
I haven't done it yet. That's the thing. Cutmaster General was in my original notes.
No, I know. Oh man.
And I told you about that before the last time we recorded, and I think in like the 3 weeks since then, you have forgotten.
It's been a busy several weeks.
It has. We always are like, next week we're going to get together and we're going to record this next episode. And then like 3 weeks pass and we're like, should we probably record something?
Oh man, we better get in the habit of doing this regular, because
we really do.
We're finally starting to release these soon. And oh no, but in the spring of 1931, definitely not pulling from a pipe right now, Orson once again throws himself into his theatrical endeavors at Todd, mounting productions of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in late February. Moliere's, pretty sure I got that right, the physician in spite of himself, in early spring, and culminating in an adaptation of Shakespeare's Richard III in May, which Wells retitled King Richard III. Orson, you don't have to do that to Shakespeare, man. We get it.
Yet, here's the thing, is a lot of people are very reverent about Shakespeare. Wells really isn't, which is very fascinating for someone as well schooled on Shakespeare as he was. Like, he will take the text and just cut it to shreds, keep the parts he wants, and chucks out everything else.
I wonder if it's just like the director's eye for being like, we can streamline this. I mean, I look at a movie that's over 2 hours and I think, why? We can cut this down. Come on, Sam Raimi, John Carpenter, 86 minutes, in, out, credits, done. I
mean, there's probably something to that. But again, Wells, I think for the respect that he has for Shakespeare, and we'll get to there's going to be so much Shakespeare on this podcast. We're going to talk about but what I'm really looking forward to is at some point after we cover Chimes at Midnight in like 6 years, is comparing Wells's Shakespeare trilogy of Macbeth, Othello, Chimes at Midnight to Laurence Olivier's Shakespeare trilogy of Hamlet, Richard III, and the other one, the name of which I am completely forgetting right now. But each of them did 3 Shakespeare films, 3 completely different Shakespeare plays, adapted them to film, but they could not be more different. But they were basically the 2 guys doing Shakespeare at the time. And I find the distinctions fascinating. Wells did about 1 a decade. I think Olivier churned all of his out in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's an episode I am very much looking forward to.
Oh, gosh. King Richard III was Wells' most ambitious theatrical endeavor to date, involving him cutting and pasting from multiple Shakespearean plays to craft a tale that spanned the entire War of the Roses, Henry VI, part 1 through 3, and Richard III, Yo 180.
Basically, this is a project that would continue to haunt Orson for the rest of his life.
And nothing else would ever haunt him for the rest of his life.
A mega Shakespearean adaptation that combined multiple Shakespearean texts. He does this, he'll revisit this idea a few times. He does the play 5 Kings. He does the film Chimes at Midnight. There are several other attempts at doing this as well. It becomes kind of his project in a lot of ways.
Would you consider Orson Welles to be the first person making supercuts? And more importantly, considering the video essay nature of F for Fake, how much would Orson Welles have killed as a YouTuber in modern day?
I mean, yes, absolutely. 100%. Like long form video. F for Fake kind of reads like long form YouTube content in a very real way. In a way that is, I think, anticipatory of that rather than, trying to diminish what he actually did in F for Fake. Because F for Fake is fucking amazing. I love F for Fake.
Oh, no, 100%. It's probably my favorite film of his, honestly. Which it's a choice. Sure. Considering I've not seen half of them and I wanted to do this podcast so I'd have an excuse to watch all of them. This is going to be a fun learning curve for me.
Whereas I think there's only one
now I just desperately want to see an Orson Welles. We're going to have to do an Orson Welles video game streaming session is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't play video games, so bear that in mind.
Nah, I don't really either. But that doesn't mean it won't be funny to watch. Orson Welles get murdered repeatedly. Every death. The
French.
The French.
If we put him into what's the name of that World War II video game that people really love?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. Yeah. If we put a Wells skin into Call of Duty.
Among Us. My computer just blipped out of existence there. Are we still recording?
Hear you. We are.
Great. Okay. I changed tabs and it decided to say goodnight for a few minutes.
That'll learn you.
Let's see. This echoes the project that would consume most of Wells's life. You've already read that Welles is charged with making cuts to keep the production at a reasonable length, which he did right up until showtime.
Again, very on brand for Orson.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. King Richard III was performed on closing day, ostensibly Welles' last act as a Todd student before his graduation to locally critical acclaim. Good for you, Orson.
There you go.
Holy Christ. Sorry.
The end is in sight. On May 7th, literally the day after his 16th birthday, Dr. Bernstein is officially named Orson's legal guardian following the death of Dick Wells.
Oh, boy.
Wells himself had asked Roger Hill to be his guardian, but Hill declined, not just due to the responsibility of having to be the father of Orson Welles, but also because he knew it would absolutely gut and shatter Bernstein, who had effectively been Orson's second father and surrogate parent for most of the guy's life up to this point.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
That feels very like a tactical move on his part. Dick had left his son Orson, as previously mentioned, 6/7 of his estate, comprising various shares and holdings in mostly oil and railroads. The totals are really kind of difficult to pin down. McGilligan does like yeoman's work trying to track all this down. He ends up estimating that Wells's share would have been around, at the time, $63,535.82, which in 2025 dollars is going to be around $1.3 million, and actually $1,311, 216 cents.
Not too bad. Not too shabby.
Per the usinflationcalendar.com.
In 1931, fuck yeah, that's good coin.
That's what we call walking around money.
That's pizza money right there.
And this is 2 years after the stock market collapse. So Dick Wells managed to get through the stock market collapse with that much coin. That's really incredible.
Can I tell you just a real quick sidebar about the stock market crash in 1929?
We got time.
Short episode this time around. We'll talk about the syllabus a little bit. Yeah. Apologize to the people for the thing we're doing for fun. So I don't know if I've said this before, but my great and great great grandfathers on my mother's side were bootleggers in Philadelphia during the Prohibition.
Hell yeah.
Which is pretty goddamn cool. I think to myself every time I rescue a piece of media, I'm just following the family tradition. But here's the thing. They went straight and got clean in 1929. And I don't know what they got into instead, but they essentially got out of the life, as it were.
Feels like a hell of a time to get out of that.
John Wick style. Yeah, no, I know. And I remember my great grandmother telling me a story that when she was in her early 20s, she ate breakfast at a hotel every day of the week. And then after the stock market crash, she had to get a job painting the gold leaf onto the sides of the pages of Bibles, which, oh my God, you don't think that's a job. And then you realize, oh no, it was 1929. That was a job.
Someone fucking had to do that shit.
Yeah. So if they had just stayed in business a little while longer, I would be living a very different lifestyle, my friends. Mm-hmm. I'd be driving a DeLorean for starters.
I guess it makes sense. You wouldn't be driving a DeLorean. You'd be inconveniently parking a DeLorean in random places. Those things are notoriously shitty cars.
Yes, I also don't look. Hey, I know a shitload about the history of the DeLorean Motor Vehicle Company, and I also know for sure I do not fit in one. So
you and me both, sister.
Yeah, people fucking forget that Michael J. Fox is like 5'4". Right. He's a wee lad.
We're not in Ireland yet. Calm down.
No, but it's getting closer.
We're so close.
I can taste that bangers and mash on the wind.
Money was. I'm sorry. I do not mean to cut your story short. Please.
No. That's basically the story. Okay. I wish I had more from that time period, but that's all I got.
I mean, I guess in some ways it does make sense. Excuse me. It does make sense for them to get out of bootlegging in 1929 because Prohibition ends. You can acquire alcohol legally. Why would you need to sell it illegally? Yeah, particularly when you were probably getting a premium on that shit.
I mean, hang on. No, I'm sure. I thought Prohibition dates.
Prohibition, I think, just takes place in the decade of the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm remembering my high school history class correct.
Yeah, because I want to say it was repealed because of 1920 to 1933. Aha! I remember it was repealed because the Depression was on and people were fucking mad about it. Is the short version. I remembered something from high school. I get a memory award. Yay. So in the
That's
summer
the
of the
equivalent of a Marvel no prize.
yeah, an Orson no prize.
Before we move on to the summer of 1931, though, we do need to mention that money is taken out for Orson's education, with the remainder being held in a trust until he turns 25, a move that perhaps inspired a similar plot point in a little movie called Citizen Kane.
Heard of it?
Heard of it?
Upgrading Orson from weeaboo shit to trust fund weeaboo shit.
I mean, is there any other reason why a 16-year-old could just afford to abscond to Ireland for a couple years? Like, I don't think so.
this pod is going to make me hate Orson Welles. I just know it. I just know it. Once we get more into the tragedy of life conspiring against him, I'll feel a little more sympathetic. But man, I do not like this 15-year-old little shit.
Young Orson, I think, is going to be the bane of Hope's existence, and you would just be able to luxuriate in old Orson.
It truly feels like I would bully young Orson. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This big fucking weightlifting dyke just not letting this fucking little weeb just like, hey, yo, you motherfucker, that's racist. Get back here.
I was not expecting that, to be quite honest with you.
I can say it. I'm allowed. I have a card.
You're allowed.
I have a permit. This just says you do what you want.
Either one. Let me check. No, that checks out. It's fine.
I did take a bike ride along the Delaware River this past weekend. Lovely, perfect weather for it this time of year. Got a sunburn in the shape of a boob window thanks to my sports bra. Irrelevant, but I did take a selfie standing on the dam in the middle of the Delaware, just south of Lambertville. Sent it to a bunch of friends with the caption, "A dike in the river." Very proud of that. I just made you collapse again. Should have waited until you were taking a drink. Let's move to summer of 1931.
Not much left.
Roger Hill was very insistent that Orson go to college. Not so much because it was the best option for him, but to get him away from Chicago.
I mean, it's kind of like you've lived your entire life around this one area. You need to see that there's more of the world, I think, is kind of
he's taking trips to, quote unquote, the Orient. He is already more well-traveled than most people, I assume, he knows at the time.
He's been to Europe several times with his father and with various teachers for some reason.
Fucking Christ.
Right. Like, and these are not the end of Wells's travels by any stretch of he'll end up living in Europe for a bulk of the 70s and 80s. Like, I mean, the man is well traveled, and I think it shows in a lot of his work. Like, he has this kind of eye for place as setting that feels very well actualized in a way that a lot of filmmakers don't have. So I'm interested when we start to get into stuff like Othello and Lady from Shanghai to kind of see the way that he captures place very well.
It's also, I mean, he's also incredibly well traveled. Whoop, my laptop just decided to blank out again. We still recording? We're still recording. Great. God almighty. I don't like that. I'm going to reboot this thing afterwards. He's also, like, as we've said, he's very progressive for his day, big asterisk on the word progressive, but being well-traveled will do that to somebody. Being exposed to different cultures and lifestyles and everything else will do that to somebody.
The things you can
a bunch of theatrical fucking gays is gonna do that to somebody.
There's so many things you can do that can increase your progressiveness. And I mean, for me, it was theater. I got into theater, and that did wonders. You actually meet people that are different from you, and you learn a lot. Imagine that. Yeah. If you're actually willing to kind of meet them where they are and engage with them as human beings, God, you can learn all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah.
But, engaging with art, traveling, reading, and these are all things that Welles did voraciously. It makes perfect sense that even as a, what was it? Weeaboo shit, a trust fund weeaboo shit.
Weeaboo shit.
He still ends up being kind of very progressive and ultimately, I would say, relatively well-rounded, although, your mileage may vary on that particular point.
It's going to vary real hard. But as such, he wrote numerous letters of recommendation to places as diverse as the Massachusetts Harvard University and Iowa's Cornell College.
However, Orson remained unenthusiastic about college, desiring instead to begin acting professionally. He reached out to Fritz Lieber, a Shakespearean producer and actor with whom he'd become acquainted, to ask to join his company. Lieber said he could not make any promises, given that his troupe was at liberty until autumn, basically not working regularly. So not to be outdone, Wells took out self-promotional ads in Billboard in an attempt to join another join another acting troupe, again, get another acting gig. The responses were underwhelming, to say the least. So basically, he was forced to stay with Dr. Bernstein in Chicago for the summer. And so Orson began taking private classes with set designer Boris Anisfeld, who had taken up residence at the Art Institute of Chicago through the month of June. Great place, the Art Institute. One of my favorite museums in the city. It currently houses, it's the museum that Ferris Bueller goes to in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, when in Chicago.
Right. You guys both, you and Bex both need to get out here, and I will take you around and show you the good shit.
I want to see Sue the T-Rex. That's priority number one.
That, I think, Sue is at the Field, and that is my partner's favorite museum in the city. So
you mean the dinosaur isn't at the art museum? What?
Right. I know, right?
Yeah. Night at the museum told me lies.
Night at the museum told you a lot of things.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't think that was the Art Institute of Chicago either.
I also don't think any of those movies took place in Chicago. So it's been a while since I've seen any of them. I don't know.
I think the first one's in New York. The second one is the Smithsonian. The third one's the Louvre.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
My ex was a big fan of those movies, particularly the second one.
That's fair. I mean, the Smithsonian does rock, although I can't go there right now. Legally speaking, at a loss to his future prospects, Orson and Bernstein handed out over 3 days of particularly vicious domestic warfare. First off, I like how warfare is hyphenated. I love seeing words hyphenated like that in the wild. Prompting Orson to take a walking tour of Ireland, Scotland, England, culminating in Orson enrolling in Trinity College in Dublin upon arriving there. Something's gonna happen there. Let's see. You want to finish this off?
Yeah. So basically, Orson was like, you know what? Walking tour of Europe sounds better than being here. So Bernstein basically agrees to Orson's proposal is the word I'm looking for. Proposal.
There's the word.
That's the word. And on August 13th, 1931, Orson Welles departs from New York on the White Star liner for County Galway in Ireland.
Oh, we made it.
We got that motherfucker to Ireland.
And I can officially say sayonara, you weeaboo shits. That's a Tumblr joke for anybody that gets Tumblr jokes.
Which is not me.
Not you. No. All right. So we finally made it to fucking Ireland. Do you have a copy of the syllabus handy? What are we going to be covering next time?
Next week, the proposal, and we'll see how long this takes based on, because I think there's at least one, maybe two chapters on this in Young Orson. But the proposal for next episode 6, is going to be Orson in Ireland, where he's going to meet some characters that will become very important to his later life, and including two individuals who will have a big role in the production of his film Othello in the 1950s. So
something that won't come back to haunt us specifically.
Correct.
Oh boy. Remember when they painted Charlton Heston brown? I do. For Touch of Evil? Even though that film is in black and white? Yeah, that movie slaps, but then you just stop and think, it's like, I don't think that man is actually that color.
No, and here's the thing. He's not.
He's not
even a little bit.
Wicked, no.
I'm looking here through the syllabus just to make sure. Yeah, it looks like 31.
I love that we have an actual syllabus.
1931, 1932 looks like it's going to be the time that Wells spends in Ireland. So
great.
Just to give us a kind of an idea of where we're going, it's Ireland. We're going to Ireland, which means the next episode will absolutely start with a Dropkick Murphys riff.
I have confidence in us that we can get through 2 years in one podcast episode.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh no. All right. Well,
right.
do we have anything?
I use man as punctuation. I
saw Bill and Ted at a very formative age. Dude is just like a verbal tick for me, regardless of who I'm talking to.
That's
I
what
call
man
myself
is for
dude.
me.
I get a big kick out of because my eyes are brown. That's relevant in the next 12 seconds. I have listed on my driver's license, bro. So I still kind of accept bro or brah. Yeah.
I am trying to be less gender specific in my interjections, and that is something I am learning and trying to do better at.
I understand, and I appreciate that, especially for our wider audience. If there's any other gender nonconformists out there in the Orson Welles land, hi. I guess I technically count since I'm a femme built like a Peterbilt truck.
Yes, you are at least that.
I was talking to a friend recently, speaking of John Carpenter, about Big Trouble in Little China, and I made an offhand comment about how I dress like Jack Burton and I'm built like the Pork Chop Express, and very proud of that.
I mean, you are lesbian Jack Burton, let's be honest.
I am lesbian Jack Burton.
Lest we forget.
Yeah, never forget. Hashtag. Is there anything else we need to add?
I guess just our plugs.
I have 2 podcasts that are at the time of this recording, currently on hiatus. Not exactly planned, but them's the breaks. You can listen to me on High on Cartoons with my partner Bex, or The Matrix Reclamations with my friend Ella. Although I do have a new shout out, you can go look up on YouTube Ella's musical that she wrote, directed, and starred in, if I'm remembering all of her credits properly, called Alien Maternity. It is a parody musical of the Alien franchise, and I saw it live, and it was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen.
I am kind of jealous because that looked really hilarious.
Well, you can look it up on YouTube now.
Okay, great. I will do that.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'll have to double check with her to make sure it wasn't a temporary thing. But my God, was one of the funniest things I've seen, and it plays like an episode of The Muppet Show. And you can totally believe that one of her chief influences was Weird Al Yankovic. So, Ella is crazy talented. Go look up her shit. It rules.
I look forward to the day I finally get to meet like all of your friends, because you talk about all of them incessantly, and I'm just like, I want to meet all of these people. They sound great.
My friends are just the fucking Muppets. So like, yeah, you're oh God, there wound up being a queer table by accident at the wedding, where just kind of all the queers conglomerated around one end of the table.
Just one?
Yes, actually, just one, because there was a lot of family members there. So, but the family were mostly straight. The friends were almost entirely queer, except for the one straight girl who dressed like Morticia Addams. And I
mean, but let's be honest,
she fit in just fine. She
no
was
problems.
It was immediately just like, wonderful. You are now part of the tribe. It was kind of fabulous. But that's all I got going on. Steven, what do you got?
I am in I have 2 podcasts as well. Good God. I am the host.
I'm the one that's stoned. What the fuck, man?
I have had 2 gin and tonics. Leave me alone.
Okay.
I host the podcast Disenfranchised, where we cover movies that failed to kick off the franchises they were hoping for. Go listen to that. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it quite a lot. And then I'm also a frequent collaborator with the Pod and the Pendulum podcast, a podcast that covers all horror film franchises, one episode, one movie at a time. I think when this one comes out, will be in the Romero Living Dead movies. So go check that out. If you like Romero Living Dead movies, which why wouldn't you? Actually, the host of the show, Mike, does not, which I think is going to make for a fun listen because everyone else kind of reveres those movies, myself included. So.
Well, they do range from Night of the Living Dead to the rest of the franchise. So
I will say Dawn and Day are pretty solid. It's the latter trilogy that's very
Oh no, my ex was big into zombies, and
Diary of the Dead is the I think first maybe second Living Dead movie I ever saw. The found footage one is not good. Is pretty bad. But I'm going to go on and cover that episode with them because why the hell not?
Why the hell not?
You can also follow me on social media if you want. I'm on Letterboxd and Blue Sky at Chewy Walrus. You can find this podcast, Wells U Pod. I think we're just going to stick to Blue Sky for the time being.
No, technically I have a Tumblr. I think it's just Wells U.
Oh, fantastic.
I keep forgetting because I've not done a goddamn thing with it yet because we're not publishing the show yet. Right. But it's Wells University on Tumblr. Look at that.
Right on. And I know we have a YouTube or not a YouTube. We have a Instagram account, but I'm not sure how much use I'm going to get out of it, particularly given that Meta sucks.
They called me mentally ill, and I am mentally ill, but not for the reasons they say.
Correct. And fuck that shit. So not fucking with that at all. So and I'm also in rehearsals right now for a play that will have ended a month ago as of the time of this release.
I'm sure it went great.
I hope so. It's the first time I've ever been actually properly cast as a lead in a play.
You said. Congratulations.
I'm very excited. The last time I accidentally fell into the lead. The last time I was a lead. That was one of those, I didn't show up to the audition and there were only enough guys to cover the cast, but there's this tiny role that nobody wanted. So the director is a friend of mine, called me up and was like, hey, do you want this tiny little role? And I was like, sure, what the hell? I barely have to be at rehearsals. Sign me up. And then a week into the show, our lead just drops out. And he's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And someone's like, you have Stephen Foxworthy in the cast. Just move him up. And so he calls me. He's like, hey, you want to be the lead? And I was like,
well, congratulations on being a known entity. Jesus Christ.
I had worked with this guy for years. This was the second to last show I ever did in Indianapolis before I moved out to Illinois. So
that's how you do it.
But this one, it's the first show I've auditioned for since I moved out to Illinois.
Fuck yeah.
They're like, that guy for the lead, he's not age appropriate, but he'll work. So he's about 10 years too young to play this role, but God, we're going to get him in here.
That's fine. Orson was 40 some years too young in most of the shit we've been talking about.
Correct.
All we're really doing here is recreating events from Orson's life, but on an extreme time delay.
Yes.
Yeah. We're getting the ripple effects of his life.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, class, I think that about wraps it up for today. I think it's a free period next. Please stop putting gum underneath the seats. And it expires quickly. And it's gross.
If you keep it up, we're going to be making you, clap erasers and clean chalkboards. So,
and then bringing back other arbitrary rules they had in American public school, like no hats. You're not allowed to wear hats.
Yeah, or hoods. Keep your hoods down.
Yeah, you can't wear a hat or a hood while listening to this podcast, unless it's a big fancy fedora. That's the only hat you're allowed to wear while listening to this podcast.
If it's a hat that Orson Welles ever wore in a film, you're allowed to wear it listening to this podcast.
There you go. Everybody's immediately start furiously Googling Orson Welles hats, and that's the note we'll leave you for.
That's the homework.
Yeah, look up Orson Welles hats.
Orson Welles hats, just for kicks and giggles, and also for your homework assignment. So we'll talk to you next time. In the meantime, class dismissed. Go home.
I'm Googling Orson Welles hats now.
Hell yeah,
Images. Oh, shocker. It's a lot of fedoras.
Yeah. A lot of third man, a lot of F for fake.
There's just a free-floating picture of a bowler, and it amuses me to no end.
That's
All right,
amazing.
I'm hitting stop.
Yeah.